And guys, tonight I want to share the EEL battery experience with you. So welcome back to another video here from the Off-Kit Garage. It is a late night show, as you can see. Saturday night, there's nothing on TV. What better can we do than come to the garage and unbox the EEL battery do-it-yourself case. And this is not the EEL as the snake-like fish. EEL stands for Easy Energy Life. And they are making these beautiful do-it-yourself cases in 3 different variants. A stackable server rack battery, this vertical battery, and also one you can hang on your wall. They're all do-it-yourself cases. I opted in for the white one. I hope this is not a big mistake. But look at this. So, on-off button goes in here, communication ports, all the LEDs, and here on the other side, terminals, positive, negative. Nothing on the back, and the front will house a display with 4 buttons. And I think there will also be some wheels underneath here. Yeah, I like batteries with wheels. Okay, let's get the first impression when we open the case here. Oh wow, look at this. So the box with all the accessories is safely stored behind these metal bars. We've got the epoxy sheets here and also some larger ones. Wow, look at this steel frame here, nice. That is really sturdy and massive. Everything is painted even inside these profiles. Really nice and beautiful workmanship. And I really like these curves here. That feels so good. And the vertical box also comes with these 2 boxes here. I think there's the BMS. Oh yeah, here it is. It's a good old friend we know already. Yeah, looks very much like a Seplos BMS 4850 10E version 16. So this will be compatible with all the other Seplos BMSs we already have here in the batteries. And here in the second box, yeah, here's the display. You can see the Bluetooth module here. Communication port here. Ah, this is a USB to RS485 adapter. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. This is a 250 amp ANL fuse. Let's free up this box. A whole stack of sticky foam. More epoxy sheets. Another mystery box. Fuse holder, terminals. We are using flexible bus bars here. Wow! On-off switch for the BMS. More flexible bus bars to connect the battery bank to the BMS. And some cables to connect the PCBs running across the cells to the BMS. More sticky foam. Container here with all the screws. Look how organized this is. That is so nice. And another bag with lots of screws for the cell terminals. The Footmaster. And of course I bought 16 of these 304 ampere hours, if I remember correctly. Yeah, these are B-grade batteries I bought from them. I cannot see a B stamped on the... They look very nice. Belly test. They have some sort of very small swelling here where the electrodes are sitting. Okay, let's do a quick scan of the QR code. Come on, scan it. Nah, it doesn't scan. I've got no luck scanning this QR code. Okay, let's enter it manually. Okay, I had to enter the code manually. I could not scan any of the barcodes. I don't know why, but sometimes it's very tricky depending on the light conditions. Anyway, we've got the EVE Power LF304. Production date is from the 3rd of July 22. So this is over a year ago. But as always, I must admit, these packages, they are sitting here in the garage for at least 7 months or so. I've ordered them last summer. And they came, I think, in February or something. So when I ordered them, these cells were like 6 months old. And of course, these cells are coming from the Jingman factory. There's probably no other factory in this world than the Jingman factory making these cells. So obviously these are the usual EVE LF304 battery cells. They come with these welded double terminals. And yeah, so far they're looking very good. I can't remember what I paid for them, but I'll put this here on the screen. But remember, this is like 7 months ago or so. So, and because this is a vertical battery case, the cells are actually lying flat like this. Okay, there are some epoxy sheets coming in. This is basically the same case as we have seen in the Seplos Mason battery already. It is just vertical, not horizontal. I think they are using very similar, if not the same, profiles here to build this battery box. And I especially chose the vertical box because I want to have a discussion with you about lying these batteries flat here. So I'm really keen to hear your opinion about this. What I cannot find here is I cannot find a manual how to build this box. There's no printed manual as in the Seplos Mason battery boxes. You know, this one sheet installation guide they put in the box here, very, very nice. There's nothing in the EEL battery box here. Not even a QR code or something, no hint. Here's nothing. So EEL battery, this is a feature request, a improvement request. If you can put an installation guide on the inside of your lid, or at least a sticker with a QR code, that would help a lot of customers out. Thanks. One is larger. I think this is for the side. Smaller ones go in here. Yeah, they are the same size. The smaller ones go in the back. The larger ones go on the side. See, now I'm already stuck. There's only 8 pieces of these sticky foam here. We've got 16 cells, so usually there are about 20 of them inside the box. But I've got 16 of these epoxy sheets here, and they have exactly the size of the battery. So I think we're putting these ones in between and not the sticky foam. So I'm not 100% sure what the sticky foam is for. Maybe it is to compensate for any gaps you may have when you stack up your batteries to the top. This is definitely not a compression plate. Alright, I've just pulled out 8 of these batteries here, and I can see a bit of an inconsistency here. So some of these batteries, they have a second sticker here in the corner, which has the capacity, the voltage and the internal resistance. They also have the small one as the first one I looked at. But this one is additionally. So I have checked them all now, and even in one box there's one cell without this larger sticker, and the other 3 have this second sticker here in the corner. So maybe I should scan all these QR codes here and make sure they're all from the same batch. Okay, it doesn't scan any of these QR codes, but what I have done now, I have checked for the same production date and same production location. So they're all coming from the Jingman factory, and they were all manufactured on the 3rd of July 22. And actually they are B-grade cells. Have a look. There you can see the B on the QR code. See that? Under a certain light angle, you can see the B on the QR code. There you can see the B as well. Just the other way around. There's a B. So there are B-grade cells as I have ordered them. I was just wondering why they are not B-grade cells, but now they have got a B stamped on it, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted the worst cells. They are selling the cheapest ones, even they probably weren't cheap. But no, when I ordered them end of last year, the prices were still very high. All right, I think all good. Let's put some cells into this case and see how it works. Okay, I have now installed 8 of the cells here on one side. I have put the epoxy sheet in between, and this is the gap we still have now. Probably good for, yeah. So 2 of these sticky foams fit in, but not 3. So if I use 3, or even there are 8 in the pack. So if we use 4 on each side, it should give us a bit of compression then, right? Because this stuff here compresses. Yeah, guys, I'm not sure. I'm I was under the impression we are getting a good compression plate here as well, especially for a vertical mounted battery box. But as you know, I'm not a big compression guy anyway, so I'm not super concerned about this. But if you want to get the maximum cycles out of these batteries, 6,000 cycles until they hit 80% state of charge, you need to compress them with 300 kilos of force. But this is clearly not possible in this vertical battery case. And maybe that's the reason they put some flexible bus bars in this box. So the only thing which holds these battery cells here in place later on are these metal rails then which go on top of the batteries and then basically push on the cells and keep them in place. And this is probably the first thing we need to do then, to fix these cells in place before we mount the flexible bus bars. Oh yeah, just found one of the cells with 2 dents in it. Not a big deal, not a deal breaker or something, but this is B grade, right? This is what I wanted. Okay, so first cell, got some sticky foam now here. It makes this terrible sound. So I put some sticky foam on this side here, so it's a bit cushioned here at the bottom. And I had a look at the manual I found online on their Google Drive, but there's nothing described how to start because, well, do we have positive on this side or on this side? And how do we end up here to connect to the BMS? There's no information in this manual. There is something about dip switches, but this is not what I want. Oh, found it. There's a second manual on their Google Drive which describes how to build this box. And here we can see the layout of the cells. So we have to start with a positive on the right hand side. Oh, it says it up here. Stick on the EVA tapes. Please notice if your cells are swollen, we don't recommend sticking the EVA tape on. What? Why not? What's going on? Ah, that's actually a good point. I should mount the castors first. Okay, so the first row is in. I had actually to squeeze the last one in very hard here to make it fit. I wouldn't call it compression. I've got a sticky foam down here, one here, and one is on the top cell. And here in between there are only these thin epoxy sheets here. So here again, the last one needs some force. It needs some force to get in. I had actually to loosen these 3 screws up here again. So there is a tiny bit of compression there, but it's not the same as in the normal server rack battery case. Well, they are definitely not falling out anymore. Yeah, it is still easier to push to the back than pull towards me. So there is a bit of a problem of the center of weight with this case. I'm just checking again that we haven't made a mistake here. So positive here, that's the main positive and main negative. That's the same as on the drawing. Nah, that's totally my fault. See that? I haven't got the feet the same way out at the back as I have on the front. So that's why the whole case leans a bit to the back. And that's why it feels like it's tipping over to the back even more. User error. Forget about it. So the manual doesn't tell you which way around these terminals need to be. So with the bus bar flat or vertical. In one of the pictures, when I zoom in, I think I can see, yeah, they are flat. So they are horizontally. Not that you need to mention this somewhere, but okay, there's an A and a B PCB here. So A goes on the left, B on the right. And make sure you've got these connectors here pointing to the top. So, and in the next step they want us to mount these flexible bus bars. I've got 2 screws per terminal. And then we have to put our balance cable as well on top of one of the screws. And I recommend torquing it with 7 Newton meters. These are actually interesting bus bars because they are not flexible here at the end where they touch the terminals of the batteries, but they are flexible in the middle, in between. Okay, so I've done all the bus bars now on both sides. Which I haven't done is the connection between the two rows here. This is actually this big fat bastard bus bar here. So we put this in tomorrow because it is 11:30. So tomorrow we need to mount the BMS, connect all the other flexible bus bars, connect the communication boards, the display in the front, and then we're already done. All right, guys, you have a good night's sleep. See you tomorrow morning. Good morning, guys. I have come back to the garage here, but unfortunately nobody has finished our work. Everything is still as we left it last night, late last night. Look at this today. This beautiful solar battery weather. Perfect day to build a battery. Okay, part 2 of the EEL Battery Easy Energy Life. It is not that. So last night we have mounted our battery cells in the case here, have connected the flexible bus bars, which I really like. And we have also found that there's no compression of the cells with this plate up the top. So I guess the next step would be to whack the BMS in there, cable everything, connect the flexible bus bars, and we are almost done. So this goes... and this one... yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward how this all works together here. I just wonder if we can pre-assemble all these flexible bus bars here on the workbench before we put the BMS into this cramped space here. Because I think the next step is to mount the BMS inside this compartment here, but then makes it really difficult to connect all these bus bars then. So I'll try the alternative way. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. We've got nice 140 amps outside already. So mounting the fuse, and then this little Gewirre here goes from the fuse to the terminal. Ah, well, I guess it's called flexible bus bar for a reason. And here we have the good old balancer section, as we have already seen on the version 3 of their BMSs. A 20 amp resistor, and here you can see also this glossy layer which they put on top of the PCB. And this is where I couldn't measure any voltage across the resistor. It has this clear plastic coating on top. Yes, it fits. And if you wonder why this one is on an angle here, I guess this is per design. Something weird is going on here with the balance cables. See, this is cell number 9 down here. Cell number 9 has 2 balance cables, one for the positive and one for the negative. And if you look closely to the printing on the PCB, it says actually 9 positive, 9 negative over there. But there's no explanation in the manual. It's not mentioned. Nothing. Okay, we are now mounting the communication board on this side of the battery case. Then we can connect these 2 cables to the communication board. You cannot mix them up. They've got different pin sizes. See, this one will not fit in the front socket here, but it fits perfectly in the back one. And EEL has also supplied a power switch for the BMS. You can actually upgrade all the Seplos BMSs with a switch. There's a 2-pin connector here on the PCB next to the balance resistors. And you need a JST, whatever that is, 2.5mm pitch. Some of these switches here. Then you can upgrade any PCB with these switches and can soft turn off the BMS. Super handy. So I bought like 5 of these here because I want to put them in the Seplos Polo batteries, 3 of them, and 2 of them go into the Mason do-it-yourself batteries. Otherwise, when I disconnect these batteries, I always have to take off the cables. Well, these ones come with a breaker at the back, but a soft button at the front, so much better. As always, I'll link them down below. cable tie is not included. And we also need to connect the balance cable connectors. They've got the same width, but have different pin sizes. Okay, and one of the last steps, we have to torque all the connections now with 7 Newton meters as recommended in the manual. So I'm going along and check all these connections, all the battery terminals. That may take a moment. And in the very last step, we have to put in our connector between the battery rows, which goes here at the bottom between battery number 8 and 9. I'm just measuring the voltage difference between these two cells here, because we may get a bit of a spark, 2 volts, and I'm too fucking scared about these sparks. Well, the BMS is now connected to 48 volt. Alright, I have taken out the balance cables before that because yeah, I wanted to connect the 48 volt first to the BMS, and now we connect the balance cables here. And hopefully there's no smoke. Alright, that's pretty much it. That's the whole build of the EEL battery box. All cells connected, everything torqued, everything connected. Okay, display is connected. Let me check all the boxes. Have we put everything in? Lots of screws left over. Okay, let's turn it on. There's the light. It's good. Battery management. We are live. 52.68 volts. 50% state of charge, it claims. Cell voltage. Enter. 329, K93, 92. That all looks good to me. Okay, once again we have successfully built and activated a 48 volt battery here in the off-grid garage. Sunny hot Australia. Look at this. It is super sunny hot outside. Yeah, as you have seen, I have not measured or tested any of the battery cells yet. No voltages, no internal resistance. I've put them in as they came from the boxes. I just want to see how consistent these battery cells are once we charge up the battery. And I'm not doing any check on voltages or resistance anymore because it doesn't mean anything. This is pure marketing from these companies saying, well, we match the cells for voltage, capacity, and also internal resistance. Especially internal resistance is only valid for this one moment when they measure. When you start using the battery after a year, after 2 years, after 5 years, are they still matched then? Probably not. So why would you bother in the first place? It is a snapshot of this moment. So before we close the front here, I just want to put these temperature sensors somewhere. Can we stick them in between the cells? Is there enough space? Probably not. Well, at least we can bend them so they are touching the surface of the cells and they're not measuring just the air temperature. Here we go. I'll just secure this with 2 screws here because I want to take it off again. Because we probably have to top balance this battery. Okay, the box is back on its wheels. Yes, it moves. Some nice thick cables here. I'm just going to piggyback our connection from the back of the Seplos Polo batteries. Connected the negative already to our bus bar up there. Got the positive still hanging here. Before we connect that, safety goggles. I have turned off our new built battery with the soft switch for the BMS. Before we connect this, I want to measure the voltage difference between the Polo battery and this battery. And we've got like 55 volts difference. This is hopefully just the capacitor inside which is discharged. If this is the case, we should be able to pre-charge it with this resistor here. Let's see. And we now have 14 volts and now it's climbing again. You can't see that, huh? Yeah, look at this. The capacitor is discharging again and voltage is rising. So that's a good sign. There's no actual short or something or any load, so we won't get a spark. We shouldn't get a spark. I'm pre-charging the capacitors again, and then we are good to go, and bang. Hold it to the terminal, screw it in, and we are good to go. That's how you do it. You connect batteries in parallel, always measure the voltage difference and then use a resistor and see if it actually disappears, because you don't want to connect the battery when there's a short or something or any large load connected. You want to connect this without any current flowing through your connection. All right, this is all done. So I've got the two Seplos Masons connected in parallel with the three Seplos Polo batteries. No communication at all, nothing, no comms. Just connect them in parallel and set the charge values here in the solar charge controller. Works a treat. Like in the good old battery shelf. Okay, once we turn on the BMS here, this is now the voltage showing coming from the Polo batteries. Once we turn this one on, there will obviously current flowing from all these batteries into this battery to charge it up. But the voltage difference should be only 1.5 volts, and okay, we're already charging. That's fine. You can see 5 amps, 5 amps, 5 amps, 7 amps, 8 amps, and some is coming from the solar directly. No big deal. So I have now connected the battery to our battery monitor software, and this version of the BMS is still under 16.4 here. There's a 16.6 update version already for these BMSs. I'll link these down below. I want to have a quick look in the parameters. I set the high voltage alarm to 3.6, the high voltage recovery on 3.55, single over voltage protection 3.65 as always, and the recovery for that on 3.6. Then change the balance start voltage to a 3.45 volts. Rated capacity is not 150 ampere hours. No, this is 304 ampere hours. Set. All right. I have also turned off the intermittent charging function, because this means once the battery is fully charged, it will turn off your charge MOSFETs and won't turn them on anymore until we hit 96% state of charge. So it discharges the battery by 4% and then recharges to 100%, down by 4%, and so on. Because we want to stay on 55.2 volts, give the balancer time to balance the battery pack, and then the solar charge controller will go into float mode at some stage, 53.6 volts then, and keep the batteries fully charged at a lower voltage. But I don't need this functionality here. Alright, so this is basically everything we have to set up. It went down now from 50 something percent to 27 because we have changed the total rated capacity. Once we are fully charging it, it will reset to 100%. And if not, it doesn't matter because I'm not using this state of charge gauge here anyway. Okay, I will update this BMS later here with the newest firmware version. Let this charge here for a while and see how we go. And then we have another look at the box and come to a final verdict of the EEL battery box. The EEL battery box. Now the EEL battery box it is. Easy Energy Life. So before we finish the video, let's talk about the EEL battery box, do-it-yourself battery box. So first of all, I'm really a big fan and supporter of these do-it-yourself battery boxes here. If it is the Seplos Mason battery boxes, the Sunfun Kits 12 volt and 24 volt cases, or here now the EEL battery box, do-it-yourself battery box. Great, love it. So, and this is probably the cheapest way you can build your battery these days. You buy your own cells and you put everything together yourself. The kit comes with all the accessories you need: BMS, cables, bus bars, connectors, PCBs, the case of course, terminals, communication port, LCD, display, everything you need. And the same as with Seplos and Sunfun Kits, you can also buy these batteries here from EEL directly. And this is exactly what I have done as well. How good these batteries from EEL are, we don't know yet. We will find out in one of the next videos when we do more battery testing with this battery. Do a full capacity test as well as look at the consistency of these cells. How good do they balance? And if there are any issues of these B-grade LF304 cells from EVE. The internal design is great. It is not perfect though, but all these bus bars here on an angle this bus bar here floating down from the terminals to the BMS here. It's more an optical or aesthetic issue. At the beginning I was a bit concerned to work in this little small compartment up here and connect the BMS actually. Honestly, there's enough space here to work, to get your spanner in, to get your tools and everything, to tighten all these nuts and screws. So it wasn't a problem at all. And as I said before, I'm really a big fan of these flexible bus bars. Especially when we have cells like this here which are not compressed, so they can actually expand and shrink a bit, moving around, and these flexible bus bars take all the force away from the battery terminals. Well, and this exactly probably brings us to one of the main concerns with this case here. Should we operate these battery cells in a vertical position, right? Should we lay them flat as they are here, stack them up like this without compression? As you may remember from a past video I did, and I shared all the great knowledge from a battery expert who is working in research and development for a battery manufacturer in Europe. And he also talked about the orientation of these battery cells. So obviously it is not a problem if you have them in a normal position with the terminals pointing upwards, but any other orientation, he said, please compress the cells, because this ensures that with the first couple of cycles you are squeezing out all these bubbles which are still in between your electrodes. Because if these bubbles remain in between, this will basically become a dead spot and your battery loses capacity. Not such a big problem if you have them upright, because the gas bubbles coming out automatically to the top. But here, having them flat in this battery, it's a bit of a concern, because we've got no compression now to squeeze out these bubbles to the front. So, and as per manufacturer specifications, you can operate these battery cells in all directions, regardless, but just not upside down, with the terminals pointing down. That's not possible. Any other orientation, totally fine. And just a few videos ago we have tested the Jackiper power wall here, which has the cells mounted in 2 horizontal stacks as well. But here we have a compression inside. We could clearly see the compression plate here in the front, which pushes all the cells upwards. Keeps them well compressed. They can take out the whole bottom of this battery. And then you have access to the thick bolts of the compression plate. While here we have also a plate at the top, but this is not enough to compress the cells together. And because this is the first vertical battery I have built here, I was keen to see how they resolve the issue actually. And I'm still very curious how other manufacturers are actually solving this issue. Well, we will find out very soon. Yeah guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think about the stacking of these batteries in these vertical batteries here. Some of you have already left comments about the QSL battery or the Jackie Powerwall here. Didn't like the battery design because they are stacked on top of each other and the bottom battery has to carry all the additional weight of the batteries on top of it. But usually when they are compressed, this additional weight is so small in comparison to the actual compression force. It doesn't matter at all. Yeah, so some of these bus bars here could have been a bit better designed, especially the one back there. Another thought here, what I don't like is that we have cables on both sides of the box. We've got the communication on the left hand side and the terminals and the power cables on the right hand side. So if you put this case against the wall then, and you're coming down with a cable duct to take your cables, you have to do this on both sides because communication cables go up here, power cables go up there. While the QSO battery, for example, has all the connections on one side, so there's only one cable duct coming down, power cable, communication, everything else goes in one side. Well, quickly comparing these two, even they mounted the handles here upside down in this case here. At least we've got some handles here. Basically nothing in this case. Makes it look really good from a design perspective. That's a lot better than having these metal handles in here. Or here like in the Jackie battery, we've got these handles which you are using probably only once to mount the battery and that's it. You haven't got anything else. There's a bit of a recess here where you can grab the battery. Talking about this, when you put this against the wall and start installing it, how do you secure it at the wall? There's no mechanic, there's no brackets delivered, there's no holes anywhere where you can mount this one against your wall. How do you secure it? Well, the QSO battery comes with a back bracket here to mount against the wall. And the Google Power battery, for example, which can be used vertical as well, has got some brackets where you can mount it against the wall and secure it. But also the Google Power is a pre-assembled battery, so is the Jackie battery and the QSO battery, while the EE do-it-yourself battery box is a do-it-yourself battery box. And if you go down this route and build your own battery in a do-it-yourself case, you need to come up with your own do-it-yourself solution to mount it against the wall and secure it. Yeah guys, I think this concludes the build of the EEL Battery do-it-yourself box, including the EVE LF304 batteries I have ordered from EEL Battery as well. So overall there are no big issues with this case here, with the design, with the build process. Well, talking about the build process, the manual. The manual should be included in this kit here, or at least there should be a QR code somewhere in the box, because there is a certain order you need to build this battery up, otherwise it gets a bit hard to get your hands in here and mount the BMS then. The documentation is all there. It is just not linked anywhere when you buy this box. But if you look up any of the do-it-yourself battery boxes on the EEL website, there's always a link to their Google Drive with the documentation. One of you guys left a comment recently and said EEL is going to change the BMS in their batteries from Seplos to JK, the new JK BMS, the inverter BMS. So I'm not sure, I haven't heard anything from EEL about this. I'll get this confirmed and let you know. That would be the first manufacturer of batteries and cases then which uses the new JK BMS. Interesting information. So, and quickly about the time frame, how long it takes to build such a battery here. Well, it took me a lot longer because I have to set up the cameras all the time then. But without worrying about the camera, about 3 hours and you have your battery fully built. As always guys, I link all the information down under the video and on my website as well. They've got the server rack, the wall mount and the vertical box here as do-it-yourself kits. Coming with all the parts, but not the batteries. So you can choose whatever battery you want to bring and then build your own professional looking battery. Okay guys, so far this video from today, building the EEL battery box, the do-it-yourself battery box. A lot of fun. I really like building these batteries because you don't need to worry if you have ordered all the parts. It all fits together. So it's great. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your amazing support here to all these wonderful, and they are a bit more beautiful than everyone else, all these wonderful people who have donated to the channel. Thank you very much. Especially in these sunny hot Australia times now, I need more spat. So thank you very much for your generous donations. And until the next video guys, when we fully charge this battery here and have a closer look at the battery cells of this build, because they are EVE B grade cells with the B stamped on it. So I'm really keen to find out how they behave when we fully charge the battery now. Until then guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye bye.